time will prove. Yes, only time will prove if I have lost my way. 'Cause I hear tell about a heaven in Alberta, where they've got all hell for basements. Yeah, I lost my way, but I hear tell about a heaven in Alberta, where they've got all hell for basements.
Hi, everyone. Frankie here. New West Reset. Hello. How's it going, eh? Welcome back. Thank you very much for shooting in and joining a fella here for another one. Another live one, that is. New West Reset Live, episode 58. On this lovely, and I say that with tongue firmly planted in cheek, lovely spring evening, late afternoon, early evening. Nope, it's not lovely at all. Well, I mean, it's not cold, -5 Celsius. It's not bad. But in the last 3 days, we have gotten, hell, I don't know, 6, 8 inches of snow, something like that. It snowed all the live long day here Wednesday. Actually, it started Tuesday night. And it just kept shooting down all night, all day Wednesday. I think it stopped for an hour for some reason in the middle of Wednesday, and then it started up again. I'm not sure if it snowed all night Wednesday night. Thursday, kind of off and on. Today, it started snowing again. Wasn't Wednesday the first day of spring or something? Spring equinox? It's either Wednesday or Thursday, depending on what source you consult, what source you're citing. But anyway, be that as it may, I mean, it's a lot of snow, man. A lot of snow. But it's not cold at all. Like, it's just barely below 0 Celsius. If it was a couple of degrees warmer, it probably would have been spring rain rather than snow. It's just that we're high up enough. That's tough to say for some reason. We're high up enough above sea level here at the foothills of the Rocky Mountains that it's gonna be snow. It's going to be snow. I bet you 2 hours east of where a fella's living right here, if that had happened, it probably was rain. But anyway, not that cold, just kind of slushy, mushy, and inconvenient, and a bit of a shock. I mean, they were saying a couple of centimeters, which is about an inch, right? 2.5, 3 centimeters is an inch. So they were saying a couple of centimeters of snow on Wednesday. Liars. Filthy, dirty liars. All of those meteorologists. Tough job in this city, predicting the weather. You could have all the Doppler radar and all that, all you like. Ain't gonna do diddly when the mountains are, 100 clicks to the west, and we're, I don't know, thousands of feet above sea. We're almost as high as Denver over here. So here in Calgary, Alberta. Anyway, I've been pissing and moaning about the weather for about 4 minutes here. Enough of that. Get that out of here. Welcome. Once again, thanks again for shooting in, joining me here for this one. This is going to be a Google Drop time warp We're going to go onto the goggle maps for the most part on the show tonight here. Because let me tell you, a fella's getting frustrated going out to shoot some beautiful boots on the ground videos for you of old world buildings here in Calgary. And I get there and the sucker's been knocked down. That's happened to me in the last 3 years, I don't know, half a dozen times. You know, I'm sitting at home, day off, it's in the morning, sipping my morning coffee, thinking to myself, where's a guy going to go and take the fine folks to have a little looky-loo today? And I think, oh, I know. I'll take him to, over yonder such and such. I reckon that'll be a nice place to have a peekaboo. Saunter on over there, 10, 15, 20, 30-minute walk. Get there. No, it's been knocked down and there's condos there now or something. And I'm like, great. Cut it out. Just stow that. All right. Can we slow down with the tearing down of the old world buildings for a second? If they're not tearing them down, they're burning them down, for pity's sake. For Pete's sake. So I thought what I'd do is I'm taking a suggestion from Cousin Vinny in the box here. That there he is. You go on the goggle maps and you can roll back the date. So a lot of these places that I've been wanting to take you to and film for boots on the ground Sunday videos, because they're not there, well, we'll do this. It's the next best thing. Because just off the top of a fellow's head, there's about, I don't know, half a dozen, 10 places I can think of that I've kind of not bookmarked, what do you call it? Pinned? Yeah, pinned on the goggle maps there. So I'm going to do that. As per usual, we'll have a mid-show break and give you a sneak peek at your midweek coming up for Wednesday, vintage footage. We're going to look at a video that was produced by the city of Calgary here back in, I think, 2011, 2012. So she's a little dated by now, but it's a series of videos that were produced by the city back in. And just to kind of show you like a quick sort of bite-sized morsels of the official story of the founding and the history of Calgary. I think they start in, I don't know, 1900 and they go to 2000 or something. Anyways, we're going to look at the 1890s to 1911, I think is what it is. The part one of a 5-part. Because it's got some interesting stuff there, and it's actually pretty well-produced little video. And I like the guy that's hosting it. He's good. You'll see what I mean in a bit. So I'm going to do that. Links for everything will be, as per usual, in the description. Not only for, everything that's we're going to be having a look at, but also a fella's BitChute on my MeWe. The guy's email is there as well if you want to reach out. Always appreciate people sending show ideas or hey, Frankie, look at these cool old photos I found. That kind of stuff. Love that. The New West Reset location map. Cousin Vinny's idea as well, and his project. Links for that there as well. It's a map of the city of Calgary. Well, it's a goggle map, right? But, it's basically Calgary. Bunch of my channel icons all over it. You click on the icon, it opens up a little thing, shows you what the video is, and the link. You click on that link, takes you right to the video. It's pretty neat. And if it's a walkabout where there's several buildings in the same video, well, they're all linked together on the location map thingy. So that's nice. So speaking of Cousin Vinny in the box, in the chat. Hello to everybody in the chat, by the way. Hello. Let me know how you doing in the chat, where you're shooting in from. It's good to see all of you. Of course, as mentioned, the links below also for Rumble, broadcasting simultaneously on the HooTubes and on Rumble. So who we got? Well, you get your Cousin Vinny, eh? Because You know what happens? You get your Frankie Fingers and you get your cousin Vinny.
So, Tommy, where have you been, huh? I've been watching Newest Reset. Huh? Oh, you know, it's Newest Reset. It's this thing on YouTube. He goes around, he does his boots on the ground thing. He'll tell you.
Say you care.
Deanne is here. Deanne in the box. Howdy, howdy. Hippie Shake. Hello. Good to see you as always. The hardest working mod in the biz. It's getting pretty late in the hour for Hippie over there, so thanks for shooting in. Terry's here as well. Howdy, Terry. Happy Friday indeed. Chassis Nick's in the box. Good to see you, Chassis. Welcome. Marit, hidden at plain sight. Hello, hello. Guten Tag. I probably said that terribly wrong. But there it is. Welcome. Good to see you. Title's here. Hello, hello. So, as mentioned, Friday today, as per usual, you know, the show. So, welcome. Thanks for kicking off your weekend here and, you know, just coming over here to kick off your weekend with me. It's pretty good. Thanks. Appreciate that. Jamboree Joe in the box. So as mentioned, it's Friday. And where are we at here? It's March 22nd already, 2024, just after 5 p.m. local time. As mentioned, about -5 Celsius. Not too shabby. Snow like crazy. Well, that's fine. It's absolutely fine because it's Friday. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. 'Tis Friday. Yep, still female, confirmed. Terry, yeah, Terry. You know what's confused? You know who the most confusing out of all of you good people is Danielle Fraser, because the her YouTube handle, Danielle Fraser, not Daniel, Danielle, but her icon photo is a dude with a beard. But then by her email, I could tell it's she and her husband, I would guess, share the account. But for about a good year there, I thought, uh-oh. I've been referring to Danielle as a she, but it's obviously a big burly dude with a beard that if he got out here to Calgary could stomp a mud hole in a guy's ass. So that's always fun. What's going on here? What's this? Newest Reset. I'll count this today as a boots on the ground video. Oh, maybe I'll make a special ghostly marker for these demolished buildings. Yeah, that's actually not a bad idea. What kind of brought this on was a couple of things, right? As mentioned, for the last like 3 years or so, I go to get to a place to film it and boop, it's gone. And a fella's frustrated. So then I got to think, okay, what else is in this neighborhood or in this immediate area? Well, I'm out here. It's a nice day. I'm going to go home and shut myself in. That's crazy talk. So I end up finding something else. The other thing that brought it on was, speaking of emails and sharing photos and whatnot, and who's it? George sent me, he usually sends me 1, maybe 2 a week emails with these sort of folders with different photos. They're fantastic from all over the world. It's amazing. But anyways, he sent me one for some stuff from Calgary, which I thought was cool. And one of this, it's known as the Old Yellow House by the Stampede. Like if you just say, oh yeah, the Old Yellow House by the Stampede, everybody in the city, Everybody in the city's like, oh, yeah, I know that joint. I know that place. Beautiful old house. Sandstone foundation. Supposedly wood-framed home. I don't know. I didn't see it get whacked down. But anyway, that's the one that's in the thumbnail. It's not the photo he sent, but he sent me a photo of the old yellow house. And I remember that just this past summer, that just, the one that just passed, I headed out there to film it, and they had already torn it down. Apparently it caught fire. So I know, shocking, right? And then there was some fire damage, so then they demolished it, which is a bummer. Because it was going to be right on the new leg of the light rail transit train system that runs through the city here. I believe they were going to run it right down that avenue where that old yellow house was. And a great idea would have been to incorporate the train station into that house. Leave the facade of the house maybe, and the existing sandstone foundation, and build outward from that as a train station. But nope. So anyways, it was kind of, a couple of things like that have been happening lately that have been like, dang it. So we're going to just roll back the clock on the Goggle Maps and have a look-see. What if we should have a look at the video first? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like the Simmons Mattress Factory video. Yeah, because I went to shoot a couple old brick houses. Or one was brick and the other was, I think, wood. But anyway. And yeah, they were gone. Just crates of brick left over. Which I found out later, there's a bunch of crates of brick, and they were from two places. One was from the renovation from the King Edward Hotel, which we also looked at on the channel. And then the other crates of the brick were from one of those houses. But yeah, I get there and they're gone. But luckily, a few blocks from there was that mattress factory, supposedly. That's now a pizza joint, a coffee shop, and I don't know what else, a farmer's market or something. I can't remember. It's weird, though. It's weird. Oh, that what used to be in this place. This burger is delicious. This slice of pizza is so delicious. I wonder what this building used to be. Oh, yeah, it was a filthy old mattress factory. Actually, it's gonna sound like a guy's joking, but a couple of blocks from me is a liquor store, which before it was a liquor store was a Chinese food restaurant. And before that, it was a funeral home. Same building. They didn't knock down the buildings and build new. No, just renovated and repurposed. Funeral home, Chinese restaurant, liquor store. Figure that one. Wrap your noodle around that and tell me what you think. Yeah, see? Oh, Vinny, come on. That's terrible. You don't even want to know what was in the chow mein. I mean, it's a liquor store now. What's in these bottles of booze? Formaldehyde? I don't know. Anyway, once again, thanks for joining me here. New West Reset. Frankie, New West Reset Live. Episode 58. YouTube. Rumble. Thanks for joining. Roth Rods is here, listening in. Good to see you. How's she going there? Hey, Bod? Guy wonders. Let me just check here and let me just mess around and see for a second. I think I might even have some old photos of that old yellow house. We don't really, I mean, it's you see it right there in the thumbnail, but just see that I keep one. No, that's not it. Maybe. No, I didn't. I kept a bunch of the photos that George sent, but that one I didn't keep. Maybe because I got butthurt about the fact that they tore it down. I don't know. How about we do this? How about we watch the video first, and then we'll do the Google Drop time warp thing. This video is it's Welcome to the Boomtown, Buster. Again, a production of the city of Calgary. This is the first episode. They're not that long. It's about 6 minutes long. And again, it gives you, it's the official story of the history of the city and all that. But there's some nice photos there of some old buildings. Some of them we've covered here on the channel. Some of them gone, of course. But I think it might be a nice lead-in because they do touch on the fact that because Calgary's been a boom town, they've had to, that's the reason why they say that, you got to knock down a bunch of these old buildings. Got to knock them all down. Got to make room for condo high-rises and multi-level parking garages. It's like, well, if you hadn't torn down the old streetcar trolley tram system and stopped it in the 1950s, people wouldn't be driving all downtown. You knuckleheads. But anyway. So this is, episode 1. Welcome to the Boomtown, Buster. And, I'm sorry, I was mistaken with the time period that they cover on the timeline. 1911 to 1929. Which I guess is the first official boom by the books, maybe? And as mentioned, it's 6 minutes, so we'll have a look at that. Let me just say hi to my pal, Bill. Bill Pals, William Pals in the box. Hello, hello. Good to see you, sir. Welcome. All right, so let's have a look at this thing. Now, I'm going to talk specifically to YouTube here. Rumble, you're fine. Rumble, it's golden. But YouTube, now listen up now, eh? Now just perk up your ears here now, eh? YouTube algorithm. Now this is fair use now, okay? This is fair use, and as not only a citizen of Canada, a citizen of the province of Alberta, and as tax-paying citizen of the city of Calgary, my tax dollars paid for the production and presentation of this video. Therefore, I am, amongst many, many hundreds of thousands of others, part owner of this video. So don't give me any of this, do you have the rights to this video, to blah, blah, blah. Yes, I do. I do. It's fair use. My tax dollars have paid for this. If you want receipts, you could talk to the city of Calgary. They'll send you all kinds of receipts. So don't go shutting her down on a guy here now, okay? I don't like it. And I'll probably stop it here and there to comment anyways, but still, it's fair use now, YouTubes, so don't mess around now. My money paid for this. I own it. All right. There we go. I think I may pause it here for a sec. All right, just checking the volume. Everything seems to be okily dokily. Century of Vision.
This is Calgary, 2011. Tiny western town between the train tracks and the...
Sorry. I meant to pause it. See, already I fell screwing the whole thing up. Just let me know real quick in the box there if the sound is okay. And if you can hear me okay as well. Obviously, I've got to pause now, so I'm just going to hit play on it and just let me know if the sound is all right for you.
2011. But it didn't always look like this. In the early 1900s, what started as a tiny western town between the train tracks and the Bow River was beginning to grow into a thriving prairie city.
Look at that. I'm going to get myself out of the... There we go. All good. Okay. Thanks, Vinny. Thank you. Already I recognize a whole schwack of old buildings, many of which we've looked at. There's the old Rundle Ruins when it was still a hospital and wasn't in ruins, with the sanatorium beside it. The old normal school. The Palliser Hotel there in the background I see as well. The old Robin Hood flour mill that used to be downtown. Crazy. But anyway, yeah. Yeah, well, you know what? I kind of dig this guy's look. He does have the Northwest Mounted Police / Royal Canadian Mounted Police, the RCMP, the cops, the federal cops here in Canada, eh? He does have the hat that they wear. Well, they don't wear it all the time. They only wear it, it's part of their dress uniform. When they're going to a swanky shindig, or if they're actually patrolling on horseback, which they do often in the spring and summer. We still got cops on horses here, eh? But yeah, I like this guy's whole shtick.
When the Canadian Pacific Railway decided to make Calgary its western headquarters, boom, the population exploded like an ionospheric solar flare. There were repair shops for the railway.
Look at that. That's in, I wish that place was still there.
Boom, the population exploded like an ionospheric solar flare. There were...
That's the old Bowness, I think in Bowness. Yeah, the old Bowness rail yard. It had the old turntable train yard with the, all the train garages. And they would drive the locomotive up onto the turntable and it would rotate, and then the train could advance into whichever empty bay in the garage, for storage or repairs. The place was awesome. Old World, Michigan in the box. Howdy, howdy. Welcome. Tartarian Prague rocker. Good to see you. How's she going there, eh? Oh, yeah, this is Disneyland for me for sure. The old trains. Right, ionospheric solar flare even. Anyway.
Repair shops for the railway, streetcars on the streets of town, and a booming construction industry. Everyone was moving to Calgary. Let's have a look. With the sudden influx of people came a need for housing. Neighborhoods like Inglewood, Ramsey, Hillhurst, and Sunnyside sprouted up along the tracks and the rivers.
Now, we've looked at many buildings in all of those neighborhoods, and will continue to do so here on the channel. Boots on the ground, and maybe, we may zero in on something on a live stream. But those, 4 or 5 neighborhoods that he rattled off there are all supposedly the oldest neighborhoods in the city, although he didn't mention the Mission District, which was here since the 1870s. And he didn't mention Bridgeland, which is now Little Italy, but used to be the old Chinatown, which before that was old Germantown. Oh, it's just nice enough outside that I have the window open. So here you go. Yeah, sirens there for you. There's the sirens. The New West Reset live stream without sirens would be like a day without sunshine, I guess. Anyway.
The CPR itself created the exclusive area of Mount Royal for its top employees. Schools went up everywhere, hospitals and business blocks. Houses could not be built fast enough for the growing population.
They couldn't build these things fast enough. 3 fingers. Howdy, howdy. Good to see you. How's she going there, eh, bud?
On November 13th of that year, the Calgary Town Planning Commission was established to try and control the massive amounts of growth taking place and provide a vision for the future. In 1911, the Calgary Electric Streetcar Railway operated 12 cars on 16 miles of track, which helped accommodate outward growth. You can still catch the last streetcar at Heritage Park. In 1911, the population reached 45,000 people, making Calgary the fastest growing city in the West. That's enough people to fill 25 C trains and 66 buses.
a new city hall, the Palliser Hotel, the 6-story Hudson's Bay Company store, the Grain Exchange Building, the Lougheed Building, and the Dominion Bank were all built in 1911.
Wow, they were busy here in this one-horse hick town in the middle of the prairies in 1911. The population was about 15,000 people, maybe 20. Also, I think he flubbed a bit on the date the railroad came into Calgary. I believe he may have said 1887, but it's 1886. So, anyway. Hey, Bernie, crypto alchemist. That's Burn Eye. Mine's Third Eye, the science guy without the bow tie. Good to see you, sir. Really, you're not digging this guy's get-up, eh? Sheesh, tough room, tough crowd there.
In 1913, the CPC hired internationally renowned planner Thomas Mawson to come up with a plan for the Calgary of the future, the Vienna of the prairies.
Yes, we covered this on the channel, didn't we? Live stream a couple of months back. Absolutely redonkulous narrative.
It took him nearly 2 years to create a plan, with grand buildings and huge parks and plazas. It was to be set up with downtown as the hub of a
Some of those
wheel
buildings
instead
already
of a grid,
existed, even though he
foreseeing
put them in
future
his
traffic
plan.
patterns. There were to be great man-made lagoons near Prince's Island, with a museum and university in the downtown core. All things boasted by the great cities of Europe.
The problem was that the Mawson plan would have cost $10 million to put into place. That was a crazy amount of money when people only made about $8 a week. How much a week do you make?
And at the time, the city was struggling just to stay afloat and run its business through the next year. Land speculators had...
Wait a second, I thought it was a boomtown and people were tripping over each other to move to Calgary. You keep saying it was a boomtown. CP Rail came in here. They put their head office in here. They couldn't build houses fast enough. They couldn't get her going fast enough there. The people's is just coming in left, right, and center. And now all of a sudden it's what they'll do is they'll say, "Oh no, Calgary isn't a boomtown. It's a boom or bust, boom and bust town. Peaks and valleys, you see." Yeah, that's right. Little Italy was Little China after it was Little Germany. That's right. It was Germantown, then Chinatown, and now it's what we call Bridgeland, which is known locally as Little Italy. Yeah.
bought up more land than they could afford to pay taxes on, and much of it had to be reclaimed by the city.
So the land barons bought up all kinds of land, and then the market fell out, and then the city had to come and basically take their land away and then redistribute. Well, not redistribute it, but put it back on the market again. Score one for the good guys.
The real estate business had inflated so much that it was bound to crash. And in the middle of 1913, crash it did. And along with that crash went the City Town Planning Commission. With development scaled back, the city dissolved the commission in July 1914. But all was not lost. Soon after, the Dingman oil well was discovered near Turner Valley. All those real estate moguls suddenly became oil barons, and Calgary had a new commodity to keep itself open for business.
The problem is that Turner Valley is just over 50 clicks south of Calgary. So you can imagine, in 1915, when hardly anybody had vehicles, it was still pretty much horse and wagon, horse and buggy, especially around these here parts, because it was, the rootin' tootin' Wild West here, don't you see? cowboys and Indians and whatnot. So, 50 clicks, a horse and wagon, basically a day's ride. They're making it sound like they struck oil right by us, right next to Calgary, and then there was another boom time. It's like, no, it's like a day's ride away on the stagecoach. Maybe a 3-4 hour drive back then in a car, if you had a car. You just finished saying it was a bust, so I don't imagine a lot of people were running around buying up, Ford Model Ts.
Demand for oil wasn't as high as it was in later years, but it did allow for some stability.
And although times were tough, the city did manage some important projects. The Center Street Bridge was built in 1916, opening up access to the North Hill.
The Provincial Institute of Technology and Art,
Where's the construction photo for
which
for
later
this?
became SAIT, and Mount Royal College both opened their doors to students in this time. The Calgary Stampede, established in 1912, merged with the Calgary Exhibition in 1923, creating one of the city's most defining annual events.
Okay, guys, not going to lie to you. I love the Calgary Stampede. Sorry, excuse me. The Calgary Exhibition and Stampede Rodeo. I love it. A lot of locals hate it because, we get about 1 million people that go through the Stampede grounds, the rodeo ground gates in the 10 days of the Stampede. And that's just a lot. That's a lot of people here coming here every year, right? About 1,000 people a day, roughly, go to this thing, or 100,000 a day, I should say. Weather depending and economy depending and so on. A lot of the locals might go to the Midway with their special sweetheart and go on a few rides in the evening, and you get some cotton candy or what have you and whatnots. But sure, you get a lot of folks like me that love it and love the rodeo, love the Midway, See, I'm originally from out east, right? Those of you that have been around the channel here for a while know I was originally from Montreal. So cowboys and all that was just in the movies to me. And then when we moved to Calgary, when I was 10 years old in 1980, I kind of thought the city would look like, a Clint Eastwood movie town. And I was disappointed when there was modern skyscrapers and highways whipping through the city and whatnot. But then every July, the Calgary Stampede. And, there's rodeos and cowboys and there's Indigenous First Nations encampment on the rodeo grounds. And there's a Indian parade and there's a Stampede parade. It's awesome. It's awesome. So I love that Stampede stuff. This park, by the way, is Central Memorial Park. That beautiful palisade there, just beyond the statue in the middle. Yeah, that's gone. Of course it's gone. Anyway, move along here.
Parks were made a priority. Central Park, Riley Park, and the family fun of Bowness Park were all built during this period.
Bowness Park was Calgary's trolley park. That was the end of the line for the streetcar trolley system. And it was to encourage people, much like we hear about with all the trolley parks in the US and so on. It was to encourage ridership on the streetcar system over the weekends, because most people use them, generally speaking, for the most part during the week, right?
And the Calgary Zoo opened its doors in 1929. Calgary was becoming a city, and the Calgary Planning Commission was re-established in 1929 to oversee the next era in Calgary expansion. Sadly, the stock market crash in 1929 triggered the Great Depression and the end of this era.
So there you go. Boom, bust, boom, bust. Well, yeah, cricket was pretty big. Cricket is still big here in Calgary. We have a large population of UK expats, as well as a large population of immigrants that have come from India. Basically, British Commonwealth, right? We're all former British Commonwealth, British Empire colonies. And so, of course, things like cricket and tea and soccer, football, soccer, right? Although that's not as big here because we got hockey. It's all about the hockey in Canada there, eh, bud? But yeah, cricket's pretty big. The Cowboys love playing cricket. It's Cowboys versus Indians in a game of cricket.
Calgary of this time was beginning to take shape. But unlike a geoidal undulation on a terrestrial coordinate system, it didn't happen on its own. It was through the hard work of that first town planning commission and its successors. Some of those buildings are still standing. The sandstone of that time is mingled with the concrete and glass of future eras. Look around, you might see some.
It's too bad they took all the gargoyles and carvings and statues and sculptures off of the Bay building downtown, which almost would warrant its own live stream, really, because, the Bay building downtown is still a beautiful old world building, but they removed so much of it. The guy who hosts it, by the way, is a local, a local Calgary actor. I've seen him in a couple of local productions and stuff. He's pretty good. So yeah, there you go. What'd you think of that? It's funny, a lot of the buildings that they really focused on in that video were buildings that we've covered here on the channel. We've done boots on the ground walkabouts and looky-loos around these buildings. Except for the old General Hospital, because that got imploded up before I could get to it. Which is kind of the theme of what's going on here today. And if you're just joining, welcome. Thank you very much once again for shooting in and joining a fella here. New West Reset Live, episode 58. Yours truly, Frankie here, coming at you from Purdy, Alberta. Beautiful Calgary, Alberta, Canadian land. Creeping up on 6 p.m. local time here. Snowing. But not frigidly freezing cold. Just cold enough for it to be snowing instead of rain. Looks like by the time it's said and done, we'll have about a foot of it. Whoopee! Nope, not enjoying it. Ready to move on to something else. But that said, it's Friday, so thanks for kicking off your weekend here with yours truly. Appreciate it. That's fun. That's always fun. I love that whole thing is Terry's fault. That whole shenanigans goofiness with the Friday, that's Terry's fault. But that's okay. It's fun. We like to have fun around here.
All right, we're having a good time. And
all right, so let's see what we can see here. I'm going to actually open up my email here, and I'm going to just scroll. Find, there it is. Email from George. So it's going to take me a second here to find the photo of that old yellow house by the Stampede. Bernie knows exactly what I'm talking about when I say that old yellow house by the Stampede. I think Bernie was saying he's a local who loves the Stampede too. rare. You know, maybe somebody who's recently moved to Calgary. It's kind of a neat, kind of a cool, interesting kind of a thing. But yeah, a lot of locals are just like, nope, not enjoying it at all. I will admit that, after about, ninth day, getting, the last day is the 10th day, getting around 8, 9 days. Yeah, it's like, all right, the entire city is, smells like beer, throw up, and horse poop. It's probably time to clean her up and skedaddle. Thanks for coming. Thanks for spending your money in our beautiful city. Don't make a mess, and we'll see you next year. I don't know. Yeah, see? Old World, Michigan. I live in AB. Alberta? Take off. You do not. Do you? Do you really? Did I know that? And it just slipped a fella's mind? Sorry, I'm still looking for that photo. Not like it really matters. I mean, we're going to drop down on the Goggle Maps and wind back the clock on it anyway, so we'll see it. But I think there was a couple of photos. There was one fairly recently before it got torn down, and then there was an older photo of it from the 40s or 50s, I think. Oh well, not seeing it. This is a huge folder. All right, the hell with it. Get on with it here. All right, let's open up the Goggle Maps and have a peekaboo at what is what. First place we're going to look at is, I think it's a web design place. Yeah, and before that it was a law firm. Yeesh. But before that it was the Oddfellows. It was the Oddfellows. And I know the Elks Club had a place here. This is just in my neighborhood, by the way. Just roll it back here and I'll share it. Just want to roll it back and give you an idea. But yeah, it was the Oddfellows, what do they call it? Lodge? Yeah, lodge, I guess. Goggle Maps. There we go. Let's put me back in the corner. How's it going, eh? Oh, you mistyped. Okay. You had me all baffled and befuddled and bamboozled there for a second. All right. So here's Calgary there, eh? In Alberta there, eh, bud? Here's Alberta in the Canadian land. And let's just get right down into the nitty gritty here. Oh, look, some hearts. Yeah. So this first one here, this robots and pencils joint. Yeah. What? It's up for sale already? Crazy. Anyway, let's get the little man down there. And then we'll roll her back. There's a beautiful Sacred Heart Catholic Church, by the way, which we've also looked at. She's a beauty. Slate roof. Look at the slope on that baby. They just replaced this roof about 5 years ago, too. I sat in this park here at a picnic table, eating a Dairy Queen burger and some onion rings and watching them. And I'm like, these guys are nuts. But anyway, let me just, I got to get a bit of a better angle. Sorry, here we go. All right. So this is a place we're looking at robots and pencils. Prior to that, it was like a weird law firm, I think. Or it's now a law firm and it was a robots and pencils. Anyway, that doesn't matter. Before that, it was the Oddfellows. Now, let me just roll it back here for a second, too. You can see that they've got a pretty low window that they've boxed in. And right down in here, there's a row of 4 of them that run down the side of this building too, underneath the, or 5 of them, sorry, underneath these 5 windows. There's dang cars in their way there. They run down along here, and they've been boarded up like this one, but then they've been covered in stucco or schmutz. But anyways, it was the Oddfellows Lodge and the Rebecca Center, which is the Oddfellows for the ladies, you see, apparently. So the fraternal fraternity, loyalty, and something, I can't remember what those stand for. So this was the Oddfellows Lodge, and then this was the Rebecca, for the Rebeccas here. 2 separate buildings that are joined by this sort of main, or it's one main building really, with 2 wings that jut out that are joined. These are some fixer-uppers, but they're pretty nice, I must say. Oh, you live in Midland. I know where Midland is. That's in Michigan. Well, obviously from the name, but I know a guy that used to live in Midland, but he's just recently moved to Colorado, of all places. So a bit of a jaunt. But yeah, he had that Midland Dam that burst, his basement flooded. He lost all kinds of stuff down there. Brutal. Not good. Not good. Ugh, this picture's too old. It's pickleated. That's better. So yeah, and there it is now. And apparently it's up for sale. This robot thing has been also a judge with like the white wig on it. So depending what business is in here, they repurpose this little robot statue thing in front. It's kind of weird, to be honest with you. But yeah, there you go. The Oddfella joint. Yes, down here. Right. A couple of empty lots. Now, this is 12th Avenue. Back in the day, 11th, 12th, and 13th Avenue, which are kind of referred to as the Belt Line that runs between 14th Street here and roughly kind of around 4th-ish Street down here before you get into downtown. It's known as the Belt Line, but there was a lot of hoity-toity, highfalutin houses that lined these avenues. These were like long avenues, and you could see with lots of parks and that sort of thing. And there used to be some beautiful 2- and 3-story brick homes, brick and sandstone homes all along here. Of course, they're gone now, but there's a few of them we can roll back and have a peek at because we can get back far enough at least. You can see now it's just a crappy parking lot next to an apartment building that's got a pizza joint here. So obviously not much to look at. Because they had to tear down this beautiful, I mean, it's been converted to upper apartment, lower apartment. So they've bashed in an extra door. You can see arched windows here. Nice little balcony. I'm sure this is a more modern edition. I'm sure they bashed in this door too. Maybe it was a window at one point. Well, maybe it could have originally had a small balcony and they just added this modern porch or veranda. Arched door there on the side and arched windows. So a big, beautiful place. You know, it doesn't look too worse for wear. I mean, it was a rental unit, obviously, but no, they were so desperate to tear it down back sometime between 2012 and 2014, just to leave it a parking lot for the last 10 years. Thanks, idiots. I really don't understand it. Even this one next to it, you know, it's covered in schmutz, but you could tell that at one point it was probably a brick building like this, and they just covered it in stucco to make it a little bit low maintenance or something. But just a shame. You know, lovely, lovely old place like that. Nope, get rid of it. Get it out of here. Now, if there was a high rise there now or something, well, you could justify it like this. All right, you know, you want to get some high density housing. But like I said, for the last 10 years, it's been a freaking parking lot. And people dump their old sofas in there now, and you know, garbage gets dumped there in the middle of the night and stuff. But apparently, a beautiful old red brick building was unsightly. So this is the Harvey block. I've talked about this building briefly because a girlfriend I had back in the day lived in this building. She lived on this, I guess we'll call it the main floor, even though you got to go up 6 steps to get in her, but fine. But beautiful arched entryway here. And I don't know if you can see it, but this is arched as well. And then the door is rectangular. You can't really see it, but anyway, she lived in this suite, but the one that faces the back. But this is a front version, and then there was a separation, and then the back version of it. And she had actually had a, when you went out the back, she actually had a little, there was a back porch there. So she was lucky and had a nice little back porch area that she could set up table and chairs, and she had a little barbecue out there. And it was nice. Sometimes we'd have folks over. We'd hang out, you know, barbecue some critter, have a couple of wobbly pops. And the cool thing about it was high ceilings, 10-foot ceilings. She had a Murphy bed, one of those Murphy beds. You open a closet door and the bed would fold down. And she also had one of those folding ironing boards that come out of a cupboard in the kitchen, mounted in the kitchen wall. Just a lovely, it's painted here, but it was a red brick building. And really wide plank, hardwood, wooden floors. Just a beautiful building. Downstairs, as you would guess, it was pretty creepy. And this, to me, looks like an old mud flooder because these are shooting right down. But downstairs, at one time, you could tell there were suites or rooms there, but they changed them to the mail room where you get your letters and post and junk mail. Laundry room and some storage rooms, and of course boiler room and all that. But this is supposedly built in 1913. Whoops. And there it's now. It's a big fugly thing. Gross. But it was a really nice building. There was a nice shop here. When this was still open, it was a cafe, and it had like an outdoor patio. But yeah, unfortunately, gone. I think they purposely let them get run down. We've looked at this. This was my very first Old World School video. No, my second Old World School video that I ever did. It's a beautiful Central High School. It's now a medical center. Then there was a lot of these that supposedly were built in the 20s too. And this is, of course, now this. But prior to that, it was, you know, this pretty cute little, yeah, again, you got some mud-flooded windows there. Maybe. I don't know. It's hard to say. I could sort of believe that this was built in the 20s. But yeah, that's gone too. Of course. Let's see what else we got here. How's everybody doing, by the way? That's kind of what I'm thinking, you know, like, you know, 10-foot ceiling. Because you think, they always tell us people were of modest means and it was kind of rough going, and, you know, people didn't have a lot of money to throw around unless you were, I don't know, some kind of fat cat bigwig, right? So you'd think with higher ceilings, it's just more space to heat in the winter, which, you know, let's face it, Calgary's got long winters. I just finished saying it's snowing out, didn't I? So you got to crank up the heat. All that hot air rises up into the 2 feet of the ceiling. Not even. If you're 6 feet tall, there's 4 feet of a ceiling there. That's 4 feet of space up there. It's just all the warm air is collecting. So then you got to have like ceiling fans turn on low that push it down. But then in the summer, it's more space to keep cool too, you know? So yeah, I don't know. They keep saying people were shorter back then, but I don't know, man. A couple of my granddaddy's brothers, a couple of my great uncles were pretty tall. 6'2", 6'3". So yeah, I could definitely go along with you know, that idea. Yeah, well, see, that's why she's an ex-girlfriend, right? A fella gets tired of going over there and getting intimidated by wedding dresses in the window now. Like, don't try to tie a fella down too quick here now. All right, let's see what else we got. Did we look at this one? Yeah, I think we did. Let's just double check, make sure. Yeah, this was the girlfriend's old place. The old girlfriend's old place. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, Harvey Block. Nice place. All right. Some of these I don't even remember. Oh, wait, this one I do remember though. So again, you got this is an ugly, weird looking building, man. Like ugly. But anyway, this used to be, if I'm not mistaken, the old Calgary boot factory. Yep. This place was awesome. You could go in there and get yourself a pair of custom-made cowboy boots. Now, of course, you could buy off the rack too, but they made cowboy boots in here and they sold them. There was retail and manufacturing all done in the same place, which makes sense. That's how it should be. Probably how it used to be quite often back in the day. I'm trying to find one with the sign on it. There you go. The Alberta Boot Factory. Yeah, they've since moved way out into the boonies, so that they just vacated this building. You can see some really low windows there. Now, eventually, they chopped this into sort of separate little retail spots. It was kind of like a little flea market. It was using this building for a while, but this was the old loading dock, obviously, right? I always found it weird that if this is the loading dock and you're loading and unloading, well, in this case, leather and I don't know, boot nails and all this, you know, threads for stitching and all the stuff you need to make cowboy boots. If you're unloading and unloading them out of trucks, why is there a void underneath there? You'd think you'd want this to be solid, just, you know what I mean? Just to give you more structural stability. It could take greater weight of your freight coming in and out of the loading dock. I don't know. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm not a trucker, so I don't know. Just seems weird to me. But it's nice that they put this. I mean, it's definitely, you could tell it was an old factory of some sort, but you know, they still kind of framed in these windows nicely. Yeah, it was just a neat old place. Now these places are still here. Like this place is still here. This place, Kipling Square, I believe. Yeah, Kipling Square, it's still there. But the boot factory had to go because you got to put a big skyscraper. And there's where you would go in to get your buy your boots, get fitted for your boots. They measure like 6 or 8 different parts of your foot. Yeah, you could do a boot, scoot, and boogie. Neutral Mass in the box. Howdy, howdy. Welcome. Sherry Ives is here. Good to see you, Sherry. Thanks for shooting in. Men's boots. Yeah, when you leave, you call it a boot scoot. So, yeah, gone. I mean, not a fantabulous, super ornate, lovely building like this with all the sandstone, all the fancy schmancy, but still, you couldn't have built that tower somewhere else. Couldn't have built it here. No, you had to right here. No, these old buildings, they got to go. They're an eyesore, you see. Who decides, by the way? Who gets to decide what old buildings are eyesores and which ones aren't? Something's going on with the goggle maps here. Rob's in the box. Rob Pollard, 33. Welcome, welcome. Howdy, howdy. Let's see what else has been knocked down, burnt down, destroyed, hornswoggled. Oh, yeah. These I actually walked to, and they weren't there. And I'm like, son of a. It's frustrating for a guy. Gets himself all jazzed. I even grabbed me a cup of coffee from a little coffee shop right here. And, it was kind of a crisp, but warm day, but a crisp morning. It was about 10 in the morning. I'm walking along 13th Avenue here. Scoodle-a-doo-doo-doo. Sun still shining from the east on my face. I'm like, I'm going to grab some nice boots to the ground if I know these old buildings that used to be here. And I turn the corner and no, the used to be being the operative word, because again, you got to have. These aren't even really stylish, architecturally interesting looking condos. They don't even have balconies. Oh, I guess they do have balconies. Now, this faces east. You'd think if you want a nice eastern balcony or something. I don't know. But anyway, let's roll it back here, do a little time warp, see what used to be here. Yeah, there we go. So already pretty rough at this point, but see if I could find a. Yeah, it's pretty rough in that photo too. Yeah, looks like they removed something up here. But, again, nothing super fancy schmancy, but arched windows, beautiful red brick building. These funny entrances a slope up like this. I'm guessing that probably at one point there was pavement lights, like those little sidewalk glass blocks, pavement lights in front of this place. This is the entrance here to get up to the top floors, and then each business on the main floor had its own entrance. Again, I mean, already an eyesore at this point. And I guess they would say that justified knocking it down. But it's too bad. It's right across from the Stampede grounds. I mean, the rodeo grounds, Stampede grounds are right here. Right here. There's this train station for the Stampede. So you'd think if there'd be all kinds of tourists and stuff here, why build condos here when you could spend a 10th, probably a 50th of the amount of money, fix this building up, and just make this whole main floor like a nice, I don't know, restaurant, maybe like a Western barbecue style beef smokehouse barbecue place. You know what I mean? And then, just your offices for, the managers of the restaurant, and maybe a staff lounge and that just upstairs or whatever. And then right next to it, there's like these 3 blocks all in a row, and they're all gone too. And this still had some, I would imagine that this one at some point had a lot of this dental molding along here. This has got sandstone above and below the windows. So a little fancier even still. But here you could have had like little, I don't know, souvenir shops or something. I don't know, man. You're selling Calgary Stampede Rodeo t-shirts in here. I don't care, anything. I don't know. Maybe I'm getting too worked up over it. I just get pissed when they tear down these beautiful old world red brick and sandstone buildings, these beautiful big arches and all this, just to, to put up this. A condo towers. Great. And these are the first people that are going to piss and moan and bitch and complain of all the noise that's coming from the rodeo grounds and the Midway until midnight every day for 10 days in a row in July. They'll be the first to complain about it. See what I'm saying? Oh, this was the old yellow house, I think, right here. Pretty sure. Something was going on with the goggle. So you can see in this neighborhood, it's not like this is even closer into downtown, as you can see from all the skyscrapers and the Calgary Tower and all the tall bank and oil company buildings. So these are even closer still into what you would think would be prime real estate for high-rise buildings. And these are allowed to stay up. All of these. And I did a mudflood walkabout of all of these very early on the channel. My warehouse district walkabout. So why is this or any of these other buildings or this one over here allowed to stay up? But those other ones, I got to knock them down for these towers, It's like they're 3 blocks away from each other. It's so strange. So here you got a parking lot, but it's not even being used as a public parking lot. One of the construction companies is using it for their staff parking. And like I said, I think it's because they're going to be running the train down this avenue here, I think. This, I'm pretty sure, is where that old yellow, the old yellow house. A beautiful, it was brick. Wood frame and brick. And it had a sandstone foundation. It's kind of hard to see. I get a better. Trying to get a better shot here. Sorry. Nope. That's gone already. Dang it. At least here it is without trucks and the fencing. So the schmutz they covered up is the sandstone. And it's a wood frame. No, it's a brick house with wood frame and gypsum interior walls, apparently. And then it was covered in cedar shingles and and wood siding. I believe in the 30s, and then painted this yellow, and it's basically been yellow since. I mean, again, it's not, a massive old cathedral or anything like that. It's just a house, but it was a beautiful old house that they were kicking around. Now, it had been condemned, so there was no way that they could ever repurpose it into residential again without basically just tearing it down, building it from scratch again, right? But I would have, as I was saying, I thought that it would have been, if the train is running down this avenue, the new leg of the train, you could build a train station off of this, right? You have people, your train platform is almost this height, which you could adjust. You could jack this up. So I don't know, you could have in here a cafe or where people buy their tickets, and you could have the platform, because the train station platforms are quite long. I think they're 50 or 60 feet long or something like that. So you could have your platform running sort of flanking either side of this thing, and you could repurpose this as a train station. But nope, then it caught fire and burnt down, and then they had to or caught fire, then they had to demolish it. So again, not anything that's necessarily mind-blowing, just kind of a shame because it was a big, beautiful house, and it was famous in the city. Everybody knew the old yellow house by the Stampede. Gone. Absolutely. Nope. Can't keep it around anymore. I don't even remember what we're looking at here. Oh, yeah. Oh, wait. Yeah, I think I do. Sorry. I think I remember now. It's an old church, I think. That's right. Because, you always need more parking lots. God forbid you tear down an old, beautiful old building. Yeah, it was an old church. Mud flood windows. I mean, come on. There's even dirt and grass growing right in the window. See, they're in such a hurry to tear down. It's a nice, beautiful old brick church. Still has a little bit of the old wind catcher tech on it. At least that's what I think that was, like part of the air exchange system. You get some pretty low windows shooting down in the ground there. Not sure what this funny thing was. They had to fill in the peaked arch. So, I mean, very modest old church, but still, you got to tear that down. Why? Why tear it down? Well, because it's unsightly. It's an unsightly old church. It's not in use anymore. And it's an eyesore. So we got to get rid of it. Oh, so what did you replace it with? Oh, a parking lot, eh? That can fit maybe 200 cars. Great. That's awesome. You guys rule your city planning. It's so fantastic. Idiots. There's a couple things here that I'm not even sure. Oh, yes. Okay, so this is the St. Louis Hotel. St. Louis Hotel right here, which is still there. We've looked at this, part of the East Village. The St. Louis Hotel. Nice little brick and sandstone building. We also looked at these here across the street. And we looked at this old hotel. And the mattress factory's over in here somewhere too. But apparently there was another old world building here, but, again, so unsightly. We'd rather look at a parking lot instead of a beautiful old world brick building. So we'll just let it get run down and condemned because, it's just a rental unit up above and just like 2, maybe 3 spots for retail. So, we're not making a lot of money off this thing. So, we better knock it down because it's just unsightly. Yeah, some funny business going on here, I think. Yeah, that's a crappy picture. Anyway, yeah, we better knock it down because it's so unsightly. We'd rather just have a crappy parking lot there instead. Not even a multi-level parking garage, what we call a parkade here in Canadian land. No, not even a parkade. Just a street level parking lot. Great. Yeah. Can't hang on to these. Nope. Gotta let it get all run down and crappy so you can justify knocking it down, I guess. So you can. What's that Joni Mitchell song? Pave paradise and put up a parking lot? I wonder if she was singing about Calgary. She's probably singing about Winnipeg, actually. I think she's from there. Winnipeg used to be a world-class, glorious old world city. Now it's, again, they just purposely let it get poopy. Oh, this was the boot factory. Sorry. All right, let's cross the train tracks. Get a little bit more into downtown here. Yeah. Yeah, how's everybody doing? Yeah, well, there you go. That says it right there, right? Neutral mass, money buying history. Yeah, not events recorded for history. Paradise, put up a parking lot. Ooh, bop, 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 bop. Pretty sure that's Joni Mitchell, right? I think that's Joni Mitchell. All right. Screwing around. The heck did this used to be? Some of these I don't even remember. And I know for every one that I've pinned, oh yeah, this was the old spaghetti factory. This was another place I went to shoot, and I'm like, wait, that's gone? What the what? That place has been here for, yeah, and it's, what is it now? Oh, parking lot. But prior to that, it was ye old spaghetti factory with some really low windows and some lovely arches with keystones and a nice little clock tower, because that's what you want for a Italian restaurant. But this place was legendary. Legendary, mate. Great place. Not just spaghetti, obviously. It was Italian joint, man. There was a nightclub in there after, the restaurant shut down. It was not a nightclub like a oots, 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 but you know what I'm saying. A tavern? I don't know. But yeah, lovely red brick building with, again, not super fancy, but some dental molding here and some nice arches over the windows and whatnot. These windows, they had cranks on them, and you'd crank them open and they would rotate open. And then so in the summer, you could catch a breeze depending on the angle of these windows. It was nice. I think you can see that here on these. Yeah, you could crank them open. But this place was weird because you would walk in and then you had to go up a flight of stairs to the main floor or down to go downstairs. Let's figure that one out. And we might as well keep going down here because another place that I went to last summer to film, and it has been destroyed in the sense that they moved it. In fact, I think the spot they moved it to is where the spaghetti factory. Hang on here. Hang on. I'm getting turned around. Let me get my date up to date here. Yeah. See? So the spaghetti factory used to be here, and they've just put a parking lot. And then there was the Eau Claire Lumber Company head office building, which used to be up here. So I went there to film it, and it was gone. And I'm like, what? Why would they? That's like one of the earliest businesses in the city. It was built in like, I don't know, the 1880s or something. It should be a historic site. It's not to say they don't tear down registered historic buildings. They still do. But in this whole neighborhood, Eau Claire is named after that business, the Eau Claire Lumber Company. But what they did was they just disassembled the building and they moved it over into here. There it is. Eau Claire and Bow River Lumber Company. Oh, my mistake. 1886, even earlier than I thought. And the Calgary Water Power Company Limited. Again, nothing super fancy schmancy, but one of the oldest businesses. I mean, it was right on the river here. So they moved it from its home, which was behind this place. Now, this place is pretty old too, because this is the old barley mill. And it was literally a barley mill. Apparently there used to be the river's just about 50 yards over here behind these. Okay, here's where you could see the old Eau Claire used to be here. So the Bow River is right here. It's like 50, 60 yards away. Apparently, where this road roughly sort of meanders around was a canal, or a not a big wide canal, but basically a creek or a stream that they dug by hand here, because this area was kind of prone to flooding a little bit. So what they did was to negate some of that flooding, they sort of one of the islands here was actually a peninsula, so they made it into an island so the river could blast through on either side of the island. And then they made a couple of sort of offshoots of creeks and so on to sort of help when they're in the spring, most especially. But yeah, apparently this barley mill, which was a barley mill, and this lumber company, power company. So this is now obviously a pub and restaurant, and this has been moved. Why? I don't know. I don't know what they're doing here now. Probably condos. And I know they're tearing down the old Eau Claire Market, which isn't that old. It was built in the 80s. But it's supposed to be a mall, but more like touristy restaurant, local restaurants, local food, farmer's market, souvenir shop type place, and it just never took off. It just became like a regular mall, and then it sucked. So now they're going to apparently knock that down too. So you can see here, this is the island, Prince's Island I'm talking about. This actually used to be just sort of a lagoon here that didn't go all the way through. So it was dredged here. I think they did that with St. George's Island too. Yeah, here to make the zoo. Or maybe it was one of these other islands. I can't remember. But anyways, they kind of did the same thing. I think it was this. Yeah, this. They dredged this to create this little island here. So they could have this little lagoon. But anyway. Apparently what they did here was, yeah, they created a sort of a little stream or creek that came around through here and eventually made its way down through the Stampede grounds and then connected onto the Elbow River here. But as the population grew and the city grew, they had to get rid of that. And they eventually moved, the lumber mills and stuff out of the city because this became commercial and then residential along the river. So I think that's what I've got for the Google Map drop time warp. Where are we at here? Hour and a half already. Wow. Wow. How about we take a break here? Take a mid-show break. And I'll give you a sneak peek at your midweek vintage footage video coming up. It's coming Wednesday. And then when we come back, we'll kind of mess around a little bit more here. What do I have for you coming up on Wednesday for vintage footage? Let me just double check so I get the right one. I usually have it bookmarked, but I forgot. I was finished work at 4 today, so I barely made it home and barely shoved a sandwich down my throat before going live here. Because normally I just bookmark it and oh yes, of course. Yes, this is Dawson City, Yukon. Dawson City, Yukon. Let me just cue it up for you. It's not a long video. It's pretty short. That's about just around 3 minutes-ish, give or take. But this is Dawson City, Yukon, 1930s. And it is 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes long, and then we'll be right back. So yeah, stick around. Back in 2.5.
About a hell in Alberta, where they call a hell for a basement.
All right, and we are back. Hello, how's it going, eh? So what'd you think of that? Dawson City, way up in the Yukon. That's just right beside Alaska there. That was mid-spring, 1930s, Dawson City, Yukon. Not exactly what you would expect. It was supposed to be just a little Wild West gold rush frontier town. You know, looked pretty nice. A lot of stone buildings there. You'd think it would just be a lot of wooden structures, but lovely setting for sure. Absolutely. So once again, thank you very much for joining me here, Frankie, New West Reset and New West Reset Live, episode 58. How's it going, eh? Thank you very much for shooting in, joining a fella here. Say hello in the box. See Media Canada's here. Howdy, howdy. Hello. Good to see you. I think I saw Morgan shooting in. Yeah, there's Morgan. Isabella Live 2.0. Hello, hello. Welcome. Cindy Wright is here. Been there a few times. Ah, see, there you go. Bill says Dawson's nice. Yeah. Yes, the mountains. Beautiful. Beautiful. And that's why I'm lucky here in Calgary, too, right? The mountains are, as mentioned, 45-minute drive, and you're basically into the Rockies. An hour, and you're really in the Rockies, Yeah, she's up there. Really, really far north there, eh, bud? And, yeah, you expect it to be pretty snowy and chilly up there, and no, pretty lovely. Black and white footage looked lovely. Imagine the color. I've never been to the Yukon, by the way. I've been to close-ish. I've been into sort of north central British Columbia, and I've been to northern Alberta. I've never been to any of the territories, you know, the Yukon, the Northwest Territories, or Nunavut. So thanks for joining me here. Appreciate it. As always, we're going to go maybe another, I don't know, 20 minutes or so. Deadly Man BC in the box. Always good to see you. Thanks for shooting in. And as a reminder, if you haven't already, maybe consider giving a guy one of these, you know, like the stream, give it a thumbs up. Just kind of helps to push me out into the algorithm a little bit. Help me as we move towards that 1,500 subscribers. Hopefully I can get there fairly quickly here in the next couple of months, so I can do arrange a meetup. We're going to be doing Inglewood, which is fantastic. I've purposely kind of not really been venturing too much into Inglewood. Actually, I haven't at all on the channel. Guy's kind of keeping it in his back pocket to do a meetup walkabout mudflood tour. So the sooner we can get to 1,500, because I just want to use it as an excuse to meet up with a bunch of you that live locally, and we can go and have a look at this, shoot some video, grab a bite to eat, coffee, maybe, I don't know, maybe have a beer and a burger or something there too there, eh, bud? Heck, we'll even look at my old house that I used to live at there in Inglewood. So yeah, I would appreciate it. If you're already subscribed, thank you very much. Appreciate it. If you haven't already, maybe consider kicking around the idea of subscribing to a feller. I don't normally ask, you know, just on these live streams on Fridays, but on my other videos, I don't. We all get inundated with YouTube videos where like, comment, share, subscribe, but you know, for a small channel like mine, it all that support really does help. So I really appreciate it. And if you are watching this after the fact, after the live, thank you very much as well for all your support. Really appreciate all of you that, you know, these things are usually a couple hours. So I appreciate you taking all that time out of your day, even if you're breaking it up into bits to watch. Appreciate the support. It's fantastic. Yeah, that's right. Over in the Netherlands, there's a few hills, maybe, but not very mountainous in Holland. Canada's kind of mountainous, much like the States. We share a lot of the same mountain ranges, you know. So we got like out east, we have the Laurentians and around the Canadian Shield, and in Quebec and Ontario, and then in northern Saskatchewan, there's sort of the hill country. Of course, here in Alberta and BC, there's a bunch of mountains, and then as mentioned up in the Yukon and Northwest Territories. So let's see what's coming up here on the channel for the summer. Aside from the meetup in Inglewood in the summer, I've made mention before of road trips that are pretty much good to go for the channel here for the summer. One of them's up to Edmonton. Guy's going to go on up to Edmonton, the capital city here in Alberta. Going to shoot the legislature grounds, which in itself is just face-meltingly fantastical. I'll probably do 3 or 4 videos while I'm up there. I'll do the legislature grounds. Definitely deserves. I mean, that Capitol building is, with all the domes and the pillars and everything, this is crazy. So that deserves its own video, and that'll probably be a 45-minute video on its own, because there's the whole legislature grounds there too, with all the landscaping that's done in sort of this. If you look at it top down, bird's eye view, there's all kinds of symbology in with the landscaping and stuff. It's very interesting. I'll probably do another one of kind of in the neighborhood that I lived in Edmonton, which had a bunch of old churches, an old school. There was the Freemasons Lodge was there. Then I'll probably do a Jasper Avenue, which is kind of a historic avenue, a lot of old buildings like we've been looking at here. And like what we see on Stephen Avenue here in Calgary, which was my last meetup, 1,000 subscriber meetup, which was great. That was last summer. And then probably do the older parts of downtown in Edmonton, like sort of skirting Chinatown and then getting into the older part of downtown, there's still quite a few older buildings, old world buildings, brick and sandstone up there. I guess because it's not quite as much of a boom and bust as Calgary, they're not chomping at the bit as much to knock down those old buildings up there. I think maybe. Oh yeah, right. You always got to watch what you say around here. Unfortunately, and I don't like watching what I say. Anyway, what else is going on? I don't think I know I will, but I'm going to see if I can get Cousin Vinny to join me again. Go to Heritage Park because we kind of ran out of time. Heritage Park has grown since the last time I was there. You could see the whole thing in a day, easily, back in the day. But today they've added so much to the park. We even sped through some stuff and skipped some stuff, and we still didn't get everything that I kind of wanted to shoot that day. We totally didn't get a chance to go to the train museum that's there, so definitely going to do that. There's an old car museum there, Gasoline Alley. We saw the blacksmith, but he's wrapped it up for the day, which was unfortunate because the blacksmith's one of the coolest parts of that little that Heritage Park thing. It's set up like a basically roughly circa 1900 prairie town, right? So they got a bakery and a hotel and a saloon and a couple of churches and schools and a blacksmith and a stable and all that stuff, right? But unfortunately, the blacksmith was just winding down, which was too bad because the blacksmith shop there is a functioning blacksmith shop for the park. Okay, there's people that work there that they dress period correct. They do tours. They basically kind of sort of stay in character, kind of. And the blacksmith shop there makes all of the, the horseshoes for all the horses in the park and all the metal that's required for like the bridles and all that, just everything. The bakery that's there is set up. It's an old timey, and these aren't like just recreations of old buildings. These are supposedly buildings that were moved from. They were slated to be demolished from some little prairie town, let's say 50 miles away or 100 miles away. And they either dismantle it and then rebuild it in the park, or they just basically hoist it up and put it on a flatbed trailer and cruise it down the highway. Now, why they decided to put the park there where it is weird to me. And I kind of speculated on that tour of Heritage Park that some of those buildings were old world buildings that were already there, and they couldn't really explain it by the narrative so much, so they just built this living museum amusement park type thing around it. But be that as it may, we missed a bunch of stuff. So see, he's already, Cousin Vinny's already I'm in. No skipping the blacksmith this time. And you're just hoping to see your girlfriend again, aren't you? Oh, yes, that cute young lady that worked at the restaurant there. Very attractive young lady. But I think I'm a little long in the tooth for her. I think I'm a little beyond her years, I think. Let's just say that. But no, that's not really why I want to go back. Hey, that's a bonus, sure. But I do want to check out the railroad museum, the car museum, the blacksmith. And there's a couple of places that we just didn't go into because it was toward the end of the day by the time we reached that end of the park. So, like, I actually wouldn't mind going into the old bakery because the same as the blacksmith, all the bread and dinner rolls and buns and cakes and cookies and all that stuff that's in the park for people to buy or for the restaurant that's in the hotel, it's all made there in that bakery. So it's kind of neat. Paws on the ground, eh? Could be. Could be. Yeah, Terry gets a kick out of that. Terry's our Terry's our resident cut up around here. She gets everybody else all riled up. So what else is going on? Probably going to try to hit a couple more little small prairie towns here this summer as well. Because, again, we're told, oh, it's just a little hamlet. Never more than 100 people ever lived here. It's basically just for the post office, gas station, and grocery store for all the farmers that live around here. But then you get there and you cruise down their main street, and there's 3 or 4 story red brick and sandstone hotels, that like 100-room hotels. And you're like, wait, what? Why for this little town? Big, massive church with a huge steeple on it or something. I'm always surprised at these little prairie towns here in Alberta. But I guess I shouldn't be by now. It's just like all these other channels similar to mine that do boots on the ground or explore, just little towns in the middle of nowhere down in the U.S. Maybe it's in, I don't know, Oklahoma or Texas or, I don't know, North Dakota or something. Same thing. This town at the most had 500 people, but then you look at all these huge old world buildings. You're like, who built them? How did they get all these bricks out here? The railroad never even came through here or whatever. It's just like, what? Oh, yeah, that too. The opera houses. I guess cowboys and farmers love opera. We're very cultured back in the old-timey Wild West, I guess. I don't know. It's ridiculous. Ridiculous. So yeah, I'm going to be doing that if and when I can. I don't drive, right? But I've got a lot of family that lives. My sister and brother-in-law and a couple of my nieces live down in the Pincher Creek area, down by Lethbridge, Medicine Hat area, really southern Alberta. Like not far from the Montana border. And there's a bunch of little towns that we pass through on the way down there. So if one of my older nieces that live here in the city are heading down there for a weekend or something, and I can get the time off, then I'll go down with her. And then I always kind of coerce her into, just pull into this little town and just drive slow down that main street, will you? And then I'll just hang out the window and video or something. Actually, my one niece is pretty good. She'd probably pull over and say, let's grab a coffee and I'll walk around with you, It's just fun discovering these things. Well, that's the thing that I've noticed here in Alberta most especially, is that a lot of these towns are right along the main rail line. That's either going east and west or north and south. And some of these towns maybe are on a tributary line that comes out of sort of a coal mining region of the province or something like that, or what have you. And then it's joined onto the main line. And even though the mine maybe is shut down and the rail has been ripped up or what have you, or abandoned, and no longer connects to the main line, the little town is still there. In a lot of cases, it's like that. You can even see where the railroad tracks used to be. I mean, it's still just a sort of a straight line running through the center of town, And the other thing I've noticed is that a lot of towns are right along, like the number 2 highway, what we call the Queen Elizabeth Highway here in Alberta, that runs basically north to south. But basically the main beefiest part of the highway is between Calgary and Edmonton. And every 30 to 50 kilometers or so, there's a little town. And that was when you were going from Fort Calgary back in the 1880s, 1890s, up to Edmonton, which was Fort McLeod, Fort Saskatchewan, up in the Edmonton area, by stagecoach or even just on horseback. Basically, a day's ride was about between 30 and 50 kilometers on, horse and wagon. So a little town would basically sprout up either beside a creek or a river or whatnot. And eventually the railroads would just follow that same line too, right? So going from Calgary up to Edmonton, You get these little towns like Airdrie. That was sort of a day's ride from Fort Calgary. Then after that, you have, I don't know, Crossfield, I think, and then, I don't know, Olds and Didsbury. And basically, almost the same distance all the way up to Edmonton. And actually, yeah, these little towns have little hotels in them. That's why I'm just like, wait a sec. This little town of 800 people's got this big, massive 4-story brick hotel that was built in, 1902 or whatever. I'm like, why? There's nobody lives in this town, really. And it's all just farmers, basically. But it was from the stagecoach days, I guess, apparently. We even have a road that goes from Calgary to Banff that's called the Old Banff Coach Road. Isn't that right, Bernie? The Old Banff Coach Road. I think it goes out by Springbank-ish, then up around Bears Paw through Cochrane out to Banff, I believe. But that was basically the stagecoach that you would take to go to Banff from Calgary. I'm not doxing you. Take off, eh? I'm not doxing. How can I dox you? You already showed your face. Oh, no. I'm not saying, I'll never give you your address or anything. Come on now. But yeah, see, so you know exactly what I'm talking about. Old Banff Coach Road. I basically was just calling you out as a reference because, you're a Calgarian, Tartarian. So, So yeah, going to do some of those little towns, do in Edmonton, do it Heritage Park. Going to do the meetup in Inglewood. And heck, I don't even know. All kinds of stuff. Yeah, basically. Yeah, because Banff was always a little bit more of a destination than Lake Louise, but Lake Louise still pretty much up there. There's a big, beautiful old world hotel in Lake Louise, which we've looked at here on the channel. But that's all those railroad hotels that CP Rail built in the 1890s through to about the 1920s-ish, so they say. Well, so that when you took the stagecoach from Calgary to Banff, and then eventually the train went through there, so then you would just take the train, and then you'd stop in Banff and stay overnight at the railroad hotel there. Doesn't really look like a hotel at all, the Banff Springs. It looks more like a freaking castle. It looks like Chateau Frontenac in Quebec City. Built right on the side of a granite mountain in Banff. Couldn't have been easy. Could not have been easy. I mean, it was built in stages over decades here and there and added on to, so they say, but even still, come on, man. Old World Michigan saying, I grew up playing on a dirt road called Railroad Gate or Grade Road. Sorry. Found lots of spikes. Used to be a railroad there, but I can't find it on my map. Oh, yeah. They probably pulled up the treads and the track and the risers and the everything. They probably pulled all that up. They did that to a lot of the local railroads here in Canada, too. The small little... Again, maybe that would go from, I don't know, a mine, a coal mine or something to the main line, or from a farming community to the main line. And after they knocked down all the grain elevators and there was really no use for that kind of stuff anymore, the train stopped operating. A lot of times they have them as sort of hiking trails or mountain biking trails now. But some of them have been so far gone that, yeah, you got to find really, really old maps to even locate them anymore. But I walk once in a while along the train tracks here by my place. I'll pull up the Goggle Maps here just to give you a rough approximation of where I'm talking about and share it with you here real quick. So you can see by the icon, well, there's my house. There's where a guy lives here in Sunalta, right? And the train tracks, when you're always hearing the train going by, are right here. The CP rail line is right here. right? Now, there's a bunch of hiking trails down in here underneath the Shaganappi Golf Course, which is very suspicious, and I did a show about that. Apparently, there used to be a Cold War era bunker underneath here. Okay. Anyway, but you can see there's all these hiking trails in here, right? Let's do this. All these trails in through here. But I like to just, obviously you're not supposed to, it's trespassing, but I like to walk along here. You know, if I want to go for a hike in this area, which is very nice, Douglas Fir Trail is very nice, all in the trees here at the bottom of this big hill along the river. It is very beautiful. And if you do it on a weekday when everybody's at work, there's not a lot of people around here. So you could, you could just kind of have some privacy, not be disturbed, and just have a nice leisurely hike without anybody bugging you. But to get out here, rather than following and taking this long bike trail or whatever, I just walk along the train tracks. I always find all kinds of old spikes and stuff. It's pretty neat. I should film along here one day, because there's definitely some very interesting things going on the side of the hill where they apparently had to blast away some of it to have the train track continue to follow the river here, right? Because just like every other city in the realm, the river comes through the city, and then it does a weird S-turn through the city, and the train tracks have got to follow the river. It's very strange. No, I do not golf. I've tried golf a couple times. It didn't take. I enjoy a good game of mini golf. I'll tell you that. A couple of friends and a couple of wobbly pops. That's fun. But yeah, no, just golf wasn't my thing. But there is that huge golf course there. It's. I actually did a live stream about just that golf course, because there's a lot of wacky stuff going on with the narrative of that. It's the city's, I think, oldest golf course, and they used to have all kinds of stuff going on at that golf course, not just golf. Like in the off season, they would do other things there, but of course they had to put the kibosh on all of that. But I'm outdoorsy, yeah. There you go, dox myself. Now I'm gonna get people knocking on my door. Oh, so you think there's a mudflood tartaria, the flat earth, and try to punch me in the nose. That's okay. I started to say I'm an outdoorsman. I like hiking, camping. I'm also a hunter. So anybody comes knocking on my door, they might get something poked in their beak, if you see what I'm saying. Trespassing, is you? I take kindly to trespassers. Don't take too kindly at all. But yeah, I should bring the camera down in there one day when I'm goofing around down in that sort of nice Douglas Fir Trail. Because it's an inner city park, and it's basically they just left it. Like there's just trees, and there's a little creek. I even found a spring, a natural spring popping out of the side of the hill there. So I don't know if shit ever hits the fan and a guy's got to hunker down here for a little bit and wait it out before, I don't know, bugging out or things get back under control or whatever. If they got to shut down the water, at least I know where I can go and get some nice natural fresh spring water. Yeah, we're pretty lucky, aren't we, Bernie? And that was part of what they were saying in that little video at the top of the show here too, was that even though we've had different city planning commissions and committees over the decades, you got to say, yeah, they're knocking down old world buildings, which a guy wants to give them a sock in the jaw for that, but they're still maintaining a lot of the parks within the city and then also in the outlying areas, right? You got the Englewood Bird Sanctuary, you got Fish Creek Park, you've got Confederation Park, Riley Park, the list goes on and on. I do, and no pants. Just a hat, sunglasses, and a trench coat. And of course, my hiking boots. I do bring bear spray with me, but it's not so much for bears there. I mean, yeah, you could get a bears in there, but it'd be like a brown bear, not a black bear, which is kind of not such a big deal. They're pretty skittish. They tend to poop themselves and run off when they see people. I do bring spray though, because I mean, there's cougars, right? Mountain lions, cougars. That's always been a problem, even in the city limits. But also things like you never know when there's going to be like a coyote with rabies trying to come at a guy when he's just out there trying to have some trail mix and go for a hike and have some beef jerky. You know what I mean? You never know. Some Wolverine comes out, tries to bite me in the pee-pee. I don't know what's going on, right? So you just got to be careful. And I was a Boy Scout, so I'm always prepared, you see. You got to be prepared. So people, when they hear that I'm a hunter, they're like, oh, you murderer, you're shooting all those beautiful Bambis out in the woods. Let me tell you, man, when you're a big game hunter, you take your life into your hands going out there into the woods. First of all, hunting season here in Canada is in the wintertime, and you're not allowed to bait here, right? And you're not allowed to use flashlights or anything. You got to wait till the sun is legally up. So you get a chart of the sunrise right down to the minute every day. It's minus 20 Celsius. There's 2 feet of snow. It's dark until like 8 in the morning. You're out there like 10 miles from your truck because you got to park it on the side of a dirt road, and you get permission from the rancher or whatever to hunt on his 1,000 acres that go up halfway up the side of a mountain. You break your leg, you're dead. You get lost, you're dead. A blizzard comes, you're dead. A cougar jumps on the back of your neck and bites your brains out, you're dead. Anything can happen out there. A moose will beat the shit out of you. I'm more scared of a moose than a bear. Moose and cougars, man. Look out. So, yeah, it's hunting season starts here mid-October and goes the late hunt. The last hunt is middle of December. Is the last draw for deer, elk, and moose. So it's something I started doing with my dad when I was about 10. He'd take me with him. My dad and his uncles. My uncles, I mean. My dad and a couple of his brothers. My dad would say, son, bring your pellet gun, and if a squirrel's making noise, you just whack that squirrel. Shoot it with a pellet gun so it doesn't give away. Scare the deer away, right? Because a squirrel will bark, right? Makes this chirping sound, and then all the deer perk up and they go, oh, something's going on over there, and the deer run away. And you're like, thanks, squirrel. Thanks a lot. Team Heat in the box. Why no pants? Just to give people the willies. Just give people the creeps. This guy walking around out in the woods here with a trench coat and a hat and sunglasses, and I don't think he's got pants on. Don't think he's got pants on at all. Oh, yeah, man. If it's mating season, you got to look out for... People think, oh, deer, oh, Bambi, oh, look how cute. No, a male deer will kill you. And if it's mating season, he will kill you and then continue to stomp on your dead corpse and then gore you with his antlers. An elk, forget about it. A bull moose during mating season? Are you kidding me? A moose is bigger than a horse. But thankfully, that's in the spring, and there's really no hunting here in the spring. So yeah, and then it's like you got to enter your name into a draw, right? So you might not even get drawn. You enter every year. We enter for deer, elk, moose. Mule deer and whitetail deer, right? So 4. You get a chance of 4. Some years, both of us, nothing. So it's like, well, then what? Well, you get a bird license. You can go out and hunt grouse and partridge at least. Ptarmigan, but there's no ptarmigan this far south in Alberta. Ptarmigan is in like north of Edmonton. Ptarmigan don't like it down here. It's too warm. But yeah, people find out I hunt and they think that you just go into the woods and blast anything that moves with a submachine gun or something. Nope, not in Canada land. We've got heavy restrictions. You got to jump through so many hoops and get tied up in so much bureaucratic red tape just to get a hunting license that most people just, forget it, which is kind of the idea. They don't want you having a nice full freezer through the winter that you didn't have to go to the supermarket for every 2 weeks to buy pork, chicken, beef, blah, 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 fish, whatever. You get yourself a fishing license and a hunting license. Bob's your uncle. You never have to go to the meat department in a store ever again. Because even with Dad and I sharing a deer, both of our freezers are full for the whole winter. And my brother and I are roommates, so we share that venison together. And then my dad and my mom, of course, right? So one deer is feeding at least 4 people through the whole year. That's steaks and ground. The ground deer's mixed with a bit of ground beef. You get sausages made. You get roasts made. It's fantastic, and yeah, it's not for everybody. Some people just can't look, through the scope of a rifle and, gently squeeze that trigger when they've got an animal in the sights. And for a big game hunter, it's a bit of an enigma or a bit of a duality too, right? Because I love animals. I think deer and elk and moose are beautiful, majestic creatures. The wild animals that are here in Alberta, again, here in Canada and here in Alberta, we're so lucky. We got the bighorn sheep. We got the mountain goats. We got black bears, brown bears, grizzly bears. We got lynx, bobcats, cougars. We got wolves, coyotes. We got 2 kinds of wolves, timber wolf and gray wolf. You name it, we got it, basically. If it crawls, flies, slithers, or will butt you in the head with its horns, we got it. But hunters are kind of stewards of the land, right? Most good hunters that I know, they don't go tearing through the land in a big 4x4, shooting up in the air, yee-haw! Strapping a bloody deer to the hood of their truck and driving through town afterwards, swilling beer and acting the fool. It's not like that. It's about respect. You're having respect for nature and realizing your place in this world when you're out there in the elements and the wind changes directions and a blizzard blows in. If you don't know what you're doing, you could die. I ain't joking around here now. So I try to explain that to people that, hunting, the way we hunt, and especially here in Canada, the way we hunt, it's not like you're seeing in movies or on TV. And in some states in the US, you can bait and you can hunt by flashlight and you can, you set up a blind and you set up your bait there, 20 yards away, and the deer come and num, 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 num. They start eating whatever you baited them with and you just blast them. And, there's different laws for different regions and I get it. But it's not like that up here. It's tough. I mean, I can remember walking, 20 miles in a day, 10 miles into the bush, 10 miles back out to the truck, and not even seeing anything, not even seeing deer poop or deer tracks. That's discouraging, especially when you got to get up at 6 a.m. the next day and do it all over again. Minus 20, minus 25. You're like, got to get in this warm pickup truck and hike up through the mountains into that valley that we know that usually there's deer down there or whatever, right? But it's good father-son bonding, and it's great to be outdoors, and it helps to, it just helps to put you back into perspective. You're walking around like you own the dang place, but okay, go out in the woods in the winter here in Canada for a couple hours. And then see how much of a big boss you are, It kind of knocks you down a few pegs. It gives you a proper perspective. Yeah. Well, and that's the thing is a lot of ranchers and farmers, I mean, they've always had firearms, right? They've got to protect cattle, to protect their crops, protect their herd of whatever it is. You don't want a grizz taking down a calf or just any of your cattle, but usually it would target, something that's easier to get, right? Yeah, so you definitely want to be careful of that. Curtis is in the box. Hello, Curtis. No rats, though. Yeah, no, I'm not. Not big on rat. Bill says, I hit a deer once with my old meter 30 years ago. It landed on the hood of the car and drove home, and it hit the brakes and it rolled off. Oh, your old beater. Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, that's the thing, man. You're driving along this dark country windy road at night. Deer just run out right in front. I mean, you can't do anything. You can't. You might be able to swerve to miss them. It depends. Like if they're already like in motion, mid jump, because a deer will jump like 6 feet up in the air, and it's like an 8-foot jump, just from a standstill. They don't even have to take a run at it. So if it's in mid jump, and you just sail and you're good, right? But if that deer's standing in the road and it's literally deer in the headlights, that's almost like they get mesmerized or paralyzed by the headlights. And yikes. Hitting a deer is bad enough. Imagine hitting a moose. Oof. Wow. A full-grown moose. You just kiss your car goodbye. And kiss yourself goodbye, maybe. Anyway, what are we at here? Just after 2 hours here. I think a guy's jabber-jawed on long enough here for tonight. I'm going to get some food down in me. So once again, thank you very much, everybody. I think that is going to seal the deal here tonight for Frankie New West Reset and Google Drop Time Warp. New West Reset Live, episode 58. Links in the description for everything we talked about here tonight. Google Map, as well as BitChute, MeWe, my email, and of course, Rumble. So thank you to everybody on Rumble. Thank you to everybody on YouTube. Appreciate all the support as always. What's going on here? Resident Properties. I hit a moose when I was very young in Alberta. Yeah. I did say yikes. Sometimes I say yikes and sometimes I say yipes. Oh, the old Jeep. Well, a Jeep might be able to handle hitting a moose a bit better than a car. I mean, if you had a big old Chevy pickup truck or a Dodge or a Ford pickup truck that was built in the 70s, you might be able to pull through. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know. If you're driving some, I don't know, subcompact import car, you're in some big trouble. George, there he is. Good to see you, George. So yeah, there you go. I'm going to wind it down here for tonight. So thank you, everybody, for once again for shooting in and joining me. Appreciate it as always. We will see you Sunday, boots on the ground, and of course Wednesday for your midweek vintage footage video. You got a sneak peek of that here tonight. Dawson City, Yukon. And we shall see you here next Friday. I'm going to have to go on a little earlier, or sorry, a little later next Friday, unfortunately, because I do have to work, I think until 6. I'm just double checking my schedule, or as some say, schedule. Yeah, I work till 6 next Friday. So it's going to be a 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time start time next Friday, 7 p.m. I'll schedule it on the StreamYard well in advance so you get the notification, and I'll put it up. And then I'll probably do a community post as well, which I forgot to do tonight because it's barely nick of time here tonight. So yeah, there you go. Thanks again, everybody. We'll see you again real soon. Until the next one, take care out there and have yourselves a good one. All right, everybody. Thanks again. Thanks again to Hippie and Sherry and Vinny for keeping an eye on everything. Appreciate it as always. All right. Have a good one, everybody. Take care. Cheers.
It's a mystery. It's a mystery wrapped in a riddle inside an enigma.